Okay, we're making grilled pork loin. It's one of the cheaper cuts of meat that you can get, but it's really good. It normally has a fat cap on the top like that, but for some reason the butcher took this off. There's still lots of fat up there, which is good. And we're just going to make a crisscross pattern about half a centimeter deep. And that allows some of that fat to render, but it also gives lots of little places for the marinade that we're going to make to get right down into the meat. And when it's done, that whole top is like crisped up, and that's some of the best parts of the pork. And you can see that I'm getting into those fat spots a little bit more just to make sure the fat renders out. So taking the mortar and pestle, and you could do this in one of those little food processors. I like doing it this way. That's some sea salt. The sea salt's in there to flavor the meat, obviously, but it also acts as a bit of an abrasive so that when you're mashing up this rosemary that I picked out of my garden, and then I'll have some thyme as well that came out of the garden, and the salt crystals cut into the herbs, so you end up getting your final product of a paste a lot faster than if you added the salt at the end. So to that, I'm going to put in about a tablespoon of dried oregano. Dried oregano actually, I think, has more flavor than fresh oregano. And we're going to put 2 cloves of garlic in there as well. Here's a really quick way of peeling garlic. You just take the stem end off, and then with the flat of your knife, give it a little crush, not all the way through. And the back of your knife, just smack it, holding on to the tip of the garlic. I'll show you that again. And the garlic pops out. So we just need a rough chop on that because it's going to go into the mortar and pestle, and it'll get all bashed up into a paste with everything else. So now it's just a matter of getting everything in there and spending the time that it takes to turn that into somewhat of a fine paste. Doesn't matter if there are a few chunks of herbs, but we want to get it fairly smooth. So I think you can kind of see the texture that I've got it to. And we need to put in some olive oil. I'll put in about probably 2.5, 3 tablespoons of olive oil. And we also need some balsamic vinegar in there. Balsamic vinegar in pork is really, really good. This is probably a tablespoon. So it's almost like making a salad dressing with all those crushed up herbs. And that is going to get rubbed all over the pork. So we'll bring that pork loin back into the picture, and clean hands. That's the best way to get it in there, and just massage it in and get it as deep into those cracks as you can. And I'll eventually flip it over and get it on the other side, get it on both sides, get it on both ends, so it's completely covered in the green herbs. So that's it. You can let that sit for half an hour or overnight in the fridge, but that's pretty much ready to go on the grill. So I've got my grill on. I've got it all heated up, all 4 burners. And what I'm going to do is put the pork on one side, and then I'm going to turn the burners on that side off. And it's just going to be cooking in the indirect heat. So the underneath it's hot right now, so it's already cooking, but the side under the pork is off. Put down the lid and wait. It's about half an hour later, and I'm going to flip it over, change sides of the grill, turn on the burners that were off, and where the pork is, I'm going to turn those burners completely off, and once again, I'll close down the lid. So that cooked for a total of 1 hour and 10 minutes, and then I turned all of the burners off and let it rest there for about half an hour, which lets the juices come back into the meat. And you can see it's not dried out at all. It's just about perfect. And those crispy bits on the edge, people fight over those, as well they should. So there's pork loin on the grill. Enjoy.